Yo. Emergency broadcast. D-Day podcast. That's what this is. It's new. It's exciting.
Last place to hear the news.
So the world's ending. Let's just put it out here. In the next 24 hours, we will see how the world reacts to a Russian invasion of Ukraine. We are the young generation. And we will see what happens. What are your thoughts on this, Michael?
I think this is interesting. Like who knows how. We have no idea how long this is going to go for. Who's going to step in and what deals will be made? Should any side come out victorious? But in the end, there isn't really a winner in war, is there?
Nope. It's a pretty terrifying prospect. Now, the only thing I can really assure here, from what I'm seeing from politics, is that Australia will not join until the election. Because the last thing the Liberals want is to send people into Europe to die before an election. Again, third time's a charm. Yeah. The weird thing.
I think this will have a great effect on on Australian politics, given the election, purely because it might be used as a policy to get people to vote for whichever leader is going to be running the election. Like,
I can assure you.
Basically, the 30s American elections, like Woodrow Wilson versus Dwight Eisenhower, and they're both like, I'm not going to send any young Americans to go die in war, and Eisenhower's like, if I have to, I might.
I can probably assure the Australian people, after going through 2 European wars, would vote for a Prime Minister that will guarantee troops not going to war. So, the Liberals have 2 decisions here, really. I kind of retract my statement on what I said. They have the option to join this war if it does become a global conflict before the election, which then secures their power. They will have emergency powers for a long time. However, that does propose a revolution. Or option 2 is they wait for the election and they've just got to pray that the people are dumb enough to not vote for a party that will not send troops into a European front.
Then again, politics is all about
Mm-hmm.
deception.
I can guarantee you, though. You know when a politician's lying, it's when he opens his mouth. So I can assure, no matter what happens, we will join this war. And if the powers that be want this, then it will happen.
I'd like to vote again. I'd like to think that our politicians aren't dumb, contrary to popular belief.
I mean, Scott Morrison is literally the punching bag.
But it's Scott Lamington, so...
It's ScoMo. Now, here's my thoughts on this thing. I think everyone should stay out of this. This is a Russian-Ukrainian conflict. This has no bearing on the powers of the world. If Russia takes Ukraine, it does not threaten the USA's position of power.
Well, what you've just said is going to cause a lot of debate, because
it is
past the US been like, oh no, Russia invaded something, we need to tighten security and that.
The US are dumb.
But if you have a look at Joe Biden, he's basically doing appeasement, sanctions for stepping into Ukraine. The sanctions are going to do nothing. NATO's going to do nothing because Ukraine's not a part of NATO. The UN does nothing by default, so in the end, Ukraine is losing on all fronts. I'm not saying I'm pro-Russian. If anything, I hate them. I don't care about either. But the fact of the matter is, the Ukraine, they don't have the firepower, nor do they have the same amount of men as the Russians.
I
don't
just think
their military strategies are anywhere near Russia. But and another thing, alliances. NATO becomes important again because the Ukraine, who do they have as allies? They don't have NATO. They don't have the EU. They don't have they again the UN will will take too much time to make a decision, taking this sweet ass time. And Russia, they've got China.
uh,
Like if World War III is officially declared, then it's Russia and China against the world. And
uh-huh.
that could bring about a nuclear winter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last thing I think any sane person
Well,
want. I don't think anyone in their right mind would willingly fight a war just because some angry old man said, I want this territory.
oh, we've never seen that happen before, have we? Never. Ooh.
I,
Oh.
yeah, what sort of people want to
Oh.
personal will, goodwill, go want to fight?
I would have no clue. I mean,
I mean, the only
I
World War One says yeah,
I
but
mean,
like
I think the funny man in the mustache kinda said he wanted a bit of territory. The world said no. It was a big war. And yeah.
yeah, that's base. Now it's
I want that thing.
now yes, it is that it is that.
No,
it is
you
that
can't. Okay, you can have that thing.
It's literally appeasement.
I'm looking
Appease
at
the
this.
Russians by giving them territory.
Have
They
you?
already got. I failed to mention something when I was talking about alliances. They also got Belarus.
Nah.
They're basically it's basically Sino-Soviet alliance here. There is they're like they're losing on. They're already fighting a two-front war, Ukraine. Belarus from the north, Russia from the east. It's not going to end well,
Nah.
especially given the large numbers of that is big boy Russian Red Army. I mean, is it still called the Red Army?
I don't know. They're blue, white, and red. Sire. See. Yo, people were just making memes about this a month ago, and now it's like happening in front of our eyes.
Now it's actually happening. People are scared.
I'll see you boys on the training grounds. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
All that enlisted experience is coming back to me.
I can kind of see this from a biblical standpoint. Have you read the Book of Revelations?
I have, but I loosely remember it.
Now, in it says that a great war will happen, and most of humanity will be wiped out. And I think it said loosely the world would be a wasteland. I can't recall if that's true, but that would mean that nuclear warfare would kind of fall in line with the Book of Revelations.
I'm not that religious. Jesus.
I'm just saying, and I don't want to rant on. I'm just saying what we could be seeing is the end of the world as we know it, biblical or not.
People again, this is a very loose argument because people said that the last time war broke out.
True, but it wasn't a wasteland. Nuclear war guarantees the world is uninhabitable.
It does.
It guarantees.
It's genuinely scary. And people don't like war, except for the Americans. They love war. It's their favorite pastime.
I mean, it's a pretty scary thought. Now, I guess in the next 24 hours we'll know, really, if anything happens. The invasion started like 3 hours ago. The most up-to-date like information was like 3 hours ago, and it said that Russia has just entered Ukraine. So I think we got about 21 hours until like the world reacts.
No, I reckon we've got another 37.
Oh yeah, it could be 48 hours.
I think 48 hours from the time of invasion, there will be some form of response. I'm sure the EU is. I'm sure somebody out there is scrambling to get something out.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of Munich conference to ban the use of nuclear warfare.
No, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act is still in place.
Which means
No
what?
nuclear weapons in war.
Then why do we have them?
That terror.
Yeah, it's a fear-mongering tactic, isn't it?
It is quite literally scare tactics.
Ah,
Basically saying we're strong, we got nukes, fuck off.
it's a shame. I can't see the people of Europe supporting Ukraine. I can't see the people of Europe that have gone through 2 world wars look at this, and even though it is Ukraine, I don't think they will look at this and go, we need to fight this, we need to protect. I believe the people will leave it because they don't want to go through that again. I'm sure if the people have a brain, they will protest and stay out of the war.
So basically, we could be seeing anti-war riots.
We could
across
see-
the world.
We could see Vietnam riots, but they're not peaceful no more. I think.
It's basically gonna be Tiananmen Square, but with a lot of people.
Ah,
Not
yes.
just the one. Oh wait, is that too controversial?
What happened? What are you talking about? What's
That's exactly the point.
what's Tiananmen Square? Huh? What's that?
The guy that stood, the photograph of the guy that stood.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What? Hey.
I'm well aware that's getting me cancelled.
I don't know what you're. Who? What guy? You know what happened in Tiananmen Square? Fucking what? 1989.
Yeah.
You know what happened? Nothing happened. It was just a normal day. It was a normal day.
I don't want the CCP to come and take this video down.
Just like Taiwan is not a country. That's right.
Oh, now we're definitely getting cancelled.
It's. I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. China doesn't own Taiwan. It just doesn't exist. The island does not exist. I think that's what China means when they say Taiwan doesn't exist. It's not on a map. It's fake. It's made up. I mean, have you ever been to Taiwan, Michael?
No,
Exactly. There's your proof. You've never been, so it can't exist.
Well, that means a lot of places in the world don't exist.
I mean, I'm using the same argument that people use to say Australia doesn't exist. I haven't been, so it can't exist. Does it exist?
Can't see it, it don't exist.
It's the same argument as if you cover your eyes and you go, I can't see you, you
I
can't
can
see me.
say the US doesn't exist because I've never been there.
But I can say it exists because I've been there. We have conflict in. There's gonna be conflict.
I'm just saying by that logic, I could say that. Whether I'd be nuked to death or not is another thing. But
Allah.
again, I really don't want to hold myself up in controversy because see, while it gets hits, it just leaves a nasty mark and you just sound like a sellout.
I think getting cancelled. I think getting cancelled is the least of our problems right now. We have the nuclear war on the front. On the horizon, we have potentially nuclear war. If not nuclear, the wide scale, this will be the most people killed in history.
Like Genghis Khan got nothing on this one.
I'm sure just because we have new tactics won't change it. We'll go into this war with World War II tactics, just like how we went into World War One with Napoleon tactics, and we went into World War II with World War One tactics. The only people that were up to date were the Germans. The only people that had modern tactics were Germans. And even then, Blitzkrieg is flawed as it relies heavily on armored divisions and aerial. If you take out armored or aerial, you have nothing. It is a useless tactic. It is why at the end of the war, it could not do anything. You know what I find hard to see? How the Australian government's going to try and justify to join this war.
Well, if they do, there'll be no conscription because people will vote against it again.
So we already haven't mandated that it won't happen again. Isn't it part of legislation? But then again, we can get controversial and say,
No,
we
but
don't
then
want to.
again, things can change at the blink of an eye with people in power.
Oh yes, we've seen that over the multitude of the COVID season. We've seen the political landscape just being shredded, and we've had Scott Morrison as a dictatorship. I'd argue.
Oh, that's to a very weak extent because
He had, and you know what? Not even Scott Morrison. I will use Daniel Andrews here as the example of a dictator. He had emergency powers for how long? And he still has them. I'm pretty sure he passed a new bill. I don't know where I'm going with this point. It just popped in my head. I just can see dictatorship in Australia, and that is, I think, the only way, like, that conscription will come back. I don't know where I'm going with this.
yeah, but we'll know what a dictatorship looks like.
Oh yes. I'm gonna be controversial. Yeah. I respect Putin. Who? I'm getting cancer. I don't respect what he's doing. I respect his leadership.
I'd like to say he's ambitious.
And
That man is ambitious.
I respect him like Churchill respected Hitler. Putin is an opportunist.
Yeah, like Stalin.
He saw Ukraine and he took it. He wanted that thing.
Ukraine, he wanted that.
And I think, hate it or not, you have to respect it. You know, it's the same kind of thing with Trump. Whether you hated him or not, you had to respect him for what he did. And the people that don't respect him.
Now here's another argument. Do you respect Hitler for the things he did for Germany?
Ooh. Ooh. Contro.
You want controversy? There's some controversy.
He did turn the nation around. He saw the opportunity and made Germany great, and I'll say that.
He made Germany great, although he ruined his image relative to the rest of the world. He absolutely butchered that one.
I'll say this like what my history teacher said. He said Hitler was an opportunist, and he made Germany great, and made it a great nation for his own gain. He manipulated.
I know exactly who you're talking about for that one.
And manipulated the landscape for his own gain. And I mean, hate it or not, you have to respect him. I mean, this is a nation that was probably one of the brokest during the Great Depression.
Worse than Greece?
Worse than Greece, yeah, arguably. And boom, gone. Like, he flipped it around like that. So I think you gotta respect how smart he is. He took all of Europe with no academy training. I think you have to respect that as well. I don't support him. I'm not a Nazi. I fucking hate the cunt. But it's respect. You can respect any. I respect Genghis Khan. He made the greatest empire. But it doesn't mean I support him, you know? You get what I'm saying, Michael?
Yeah.
Like, you always gotta have respect for someone.
Even what we consider the worst dictators are great. Maybe for the right or wrong reasons is up for debate.
All dictators are great in their own heads.
Just picturing that one scene from Harry Potter where Voldemort did great things, terrible things, but great.
I'm gonna be taken out of context, edited, but a neo-Nazi. Oh no! Oh shit! Oh fuck! Twitter's coming at me. You know what? Bring it on, Twitter. Bring it on, because guess what?
Oh god, Twitter, I'm sorry, man.
Guess
Leave
what?
me alone, please.
Please, Twitter, don't hurt me. You know, it's like.
But at this point, you're begging them mercy. Do it to someone else, not me.
But me. Honestly, try and cancel me, because every point I've made here has been within the confines of I don't support them, I respect them. I mean, in a way, I can respect Biden. You know, if you,
Yeah.
I really don't like him, but I respect the fact that he is 88 or something, like 103 years old, and he's standing up there and talking to the. I can respect that. He has.
He got balls.
Oh, I wouldn't know about that. He stuffs up. He looks very anxious. I would say he more so. He has spirit.
That how far does spirit get you?
Not far with him. Not far. No, he's probably the worst president they've ever had. I mean, I'd put him down there with like. I mean, Abraham Lincoln. Hot topic here. Abraham Lincoln wasn't that great. He ended slavery. Good job, but I'm probably gonna get too controversial to say that the Union wasn't a bad idea. In the sense that the Confederacy, the Confederates wasn't a bad idea.
In theory.
In theory, it's a bunch of states that are all independent, and I think they only come together on what was it, military? How does the
Yugoslavia?
Yeah, the Confederacy is. It gave more freedom than the Union. Whether you like it or not, the Union was, in a sense, a dictatorship. How it forced states to stay together. And I mean, no matter how you look at the American Civil War, the Union was the aggressor. Because, I mean, Abraham. Oh, it's hard, because I don't know a lot about that topic. So if I say something, I'll get instantly shut down. Then again, Americans, some of them don't even know their first president, so, you know, I could be speaking fact to them. They are pretty dumb.
Although saying that to them will get you some uranium delivered straight to your doorstep.
Oh, shit. You know what I'm really excited for? Oh, shit, I shouldn't use that word. You know, I'm very interested to see. I want to see how North Korea reacts to all this.
No, they won't do anything.
But that's what I want to see. I want to see if Kim Jong Un's an opportunist, and if he's gonna see this opportunity and take it, or if he is going to probably do the smart thing and sit there and be a good little boy. Oh, I'm getting nuked.
He will, because North Korea's got its own problems.
They do have a lunch. You know what else I have to respect? I have to respect Kim Jong Un lying about everything. He lies about making the hamburger, and about how he was like born from like the heavens. It's funny.
Propaganda.
It's funny. It's hilarious. It's great. I also gotta respect the man. He walks out with pure confidence, and he looks like a marshmallow. It's crazy. You know, he walks out there to the.
Say that in North Korea, and once again, bullet straight to your head.
I could be fucking killed here, bro. You don't know. I could be exposed. Sorry. All love, Kim Jong Un. I don't mean any disrespect. I respect you. I don't like you, but I respect you. I'm gonna have the CCP knocking at my door. Just be like, come out. Tell me where you live. Very controversial episode this will be. Can't wait.
I'm sure that whoever picks up on this will be at our throats, like saying, "What the fuck is this new shit?"
Oh, I'm sure we'll be taken out of context. I mean, that's why I upload these unedited.
Probably stretch this out to a full-length argument.
Not really an argument, more like a discussion. It's a very interesting topic. War. The ideas and the theory. The alliances, the politics. It's
in amongst all the dictatorships, there's one thing that's common. There is a period of stability after consolidation of power.
Yeah,
then all the crazy stuff happens, but there's at least a little bit of prosperity, maybe a few killings here and there,
I'm I'm looking at this as like,
but there is some economic stability. I'm going to say economic because political stability, I mean, it's a one. Most of them were one-party systems, or you didn't vote anyway.
I'm
But there was no leaders changing. There was no change in direction for the economy. It was just like
mm,
a slow exponential curve,
mm,
and then it goes straight back down.
yeah,
But after the leader dies, but you know, it's fun while it lasts.
yeah. I'm just hoping, I guess.
Terrible for absolutely horrible on a humanitarian front. Like UN would be shooting. Actually, nah. What am I kidding? It's the UN.
They just sit there. I'm really hoping for a peaceful outcome from all this. I think
What is
we don't need a world.
peaceful outcome?
I think I'm hoping that no one else gets involved. I really think this should be a Russian and Ukraine thing. No matter what, if you want to help Ukraine, not help Ukraine, once you get more than Ukraine involved, this becomes a conflict that we are all involved in, whether people want to go to war or not. We all
And then
become part of
World
this.
War happens.
Exactly. And like people like this generation, especially young, and I will use this term, and I don't like using leftists. Will the young generation and the leftists will will promote to help Ukraine, but these people they've read about war and they really underestimate the atrocities of it. I mean, the young people that are rooting,
I'm gonna call them Twitter jokes.
the young people that are rooting to help Ukraine here and to join the side of the Allies and join this war, they are going into this with the same mindset that people in World War One thought this would be Napoleonic. They do not understand the destruction this war will cause, and they will not. They do not understand the
They don't know.
They will not understand that once the country's in, our families are dragged in, people are dragged in, the children are dragged in.
And they all line up to receive their bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible on all fronts.
And the worst thing is, people will fall for the propaganda that this is a righteous war to protect Ukraine.
Look, in the end, Ukraine could, in theory, protect themselves, but it's Russia, and they're friends with China.
At the end of this day, this shouldn't be our conflict. I mean, we are a small island in Oceania. We do not need to get involved with a European conflict.
Yeah, we're not making the same mistake a third time, surely.
I think we've already put sanctions out on Russia. We're already looking to get involved. It pisses me off. It pisses me off because Australia is a country that can survive on its own. When the COVID happened, we could have closed off our borders and we could have manufactured shit here. We could have kept our borders closed exponentially forever. We could have manufactured shit here. We have the land. We have the land, we have the resources, we have the economy. We didn't have to borrow money from nations like China to support pensions. We could have created a workforce of farming and agriculture and industrial. We could be a country that can exist on our own. We have coal.
The industry used to be there.
It used to be. Now it's gone. We import all our shit from China. Like hate it, like we can literally run our own thing. We are a massive nation.
The industry in places like Newcastle, which were industrial cities, they were built on their industry, fly out workers, was better for the long-term stability. But in the 90s, they kind of saw short-term profits. Like, yeah, we need that money, and we kind of outsourced ourselves to China. And then China became powerful and they started imposing sanctions on Australia. And suddenly, hey, the tables are flipped. We don't like this.
During the pandemic, even now.
But the thing is, I like, there is from George Carlin said something like this matter. Like, people always complain about the politicians, but where do the politicians come from? They come from the nation's education systems, from the nation's families, they're people of the nation.
Mm.
So they're a product of the systems that are implemented here. Garbage in, garbage out.
It's just the.
I'm directly quoting Carlin here, but it holds up. And this is before 2000, before Twitter was really a thing. He was just rambling like we're fucked. And then he like died. And then you didn't hear any more of him. He made some interesting points that have certainly, influenced my opinions, and they're not suitable for everyone because there's crude language some people don't like, swear words and that. But it is once you look past it, I think there is. It's not even comedy. It's just he's just speaking as a product of his time.
Mm.
Because he lived through the Nixon administration. He lived through the fall of the Soviet Union, and he spoke from those experiences. But then again, I'm digging myself a hole here because like George Carlin this, George Carlin that. What about other people like XX, Y, and Z? And yeah, they make valid points from their perspective. They're products of their upbringing, and the thing is, not every upbringing, because of the relativity of what's good, what's bad, what's they're in between. It's created a disparity which has caused lots of conflict. Like in layman's terms, look at capitalism versus communism, and it's a clash of ideologies. And let's say the 7.7, everyone has a different version of a specific ideology. That's 7.7 billion different ideologies, and which cause the arguments on Twitter, the arguments in real life, just arguments in general, really,
Mm.
because everyone thinks a different way, and it's a product of postmodernism, and and the rabbit hole goes further, and I think I should stop talking.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
No, but seriously, if I continued on that really long truncated explanation, this podcast could go well into 2 hours.
I mean, could.
And I don't feel like rambling for 2 hours. I want to uphold some form of sleep schedule.
Sleep. What is sleep? Sleep is just.
No, we're not going through this.
Sleep is just a construct of time and space. Oh god. Oh, this is just. Oh, it's just not good. This is not our war. We do not need to get involved. We shouldn't even be sanctioning Russia. I mean, fuck it. Why is it our problem?
Yeah, that is a good point.
I mean, with sanctioning Russia, we lose. We're the only nation that lose. Russia doesn't buy our shit, and we are already in debt. We cannot afford sanctions. We cannot afford to do this. We cannot afford to go to war.
So why are you putting? I don't understand. Like, you're putting sanctions on a country that you have no association with.
Yep.
I think they're just going with the US. Like,
Exactly.
Australia aren't even critically thinking. They're just going with the US. They're following them blindly.
We're a puppet. We are a puppet to the great powers.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed over the past.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Just leaning further towards the US and not. We're kind of there is a loss in national identity for sure, and anybody who has studied history or has political knowledge would know of the sort of policies of Australia in the past.
Hmm.
Then again, I'm talking all. I'm just rambling on about how it was in the old days. You know, it's different
The
now.
good old days, mate. Video of Russian missile hitting the airport in the city of Ivano-Frankivsk, Western Ukraine. Ukraine's president has told his country, the world, that they would defeat everyone. EU leaders rushed to Brussels for an emergency summit.
See, there's the emergency Munich conference you were talking about.
Ukraine crisis, Russia begins invasion from land and sea.
See as well.
I'm guessing through the Crimean.
Yeah, because they annexed that.
Mm-hmm. This is just such a shame, such a travesty in the world.
Oh no. Anyway.
We shouldn't be involved as an Australian. I think
Just don't stick your nose in where it's not needed.
we are a nation that can literally survive on its own. We could be a great power in our own oceanic oceans, but because we play puppet to the powers that be, we cannot survive in a global scale. We are a small fish in the big pond. It's quite a shame. And this problem only really happened around 20-30 years ago. I mean, we are in debt because we are part of this world union. Because
Yeah, that's what the UN is.
Because we borrow money to socialize everything. Socialism isn't bad, but we have now put ourselves into so much debt that we will not pay it off in our lifetime. And the last thing we need is war. You know, people say war makes money, but
War does not make money.
won't make money for us. It'll make money for.
TV ratings.
It'll make money.
It only gives good TV ratings. Just look at the war, the US with Iraq in the 80s and 90s. Well, I don't recall what that war is called, but it was pretty good TV ratings.
Yeah. So you know, tonight on 7 News, Osama bin Laden blown up in his cave. Our next story, Jamie Foxx wins gold at the Olympics. Oh, this is crazy because you know tomorrow morning you're gonna wake up and it's not gonna be COVID on the news. It's gonna be Ukraine and Russia.
They've moved. COVID's now a thing of the past. War with Ukraine at war is now the new world order.
Yep.
It's funny how the world can switch its agenda that quickly.
It's almost
scary.
It's almost as if COVID isn't that big as a deal as we thought. It's almost as if we can switch like that when we want.
Yep.
Interpret that Twitter as you will. Oh, fuck. Oh, what? You know what, if the world ends, at least we all die. So, you know, like...
Yeah, the only guarantee in life is death.
Yep. Oh, and taxes. Gotta pay taxes. And for me, it's being a virgin forever.
Self-insult, those are rare. Oh god, you're right.
Suicide jokes sound funny.
Like seriously, call a helpline if you're feeling like that.
I stuck my fingers in my throat in a gun shape, not because I wanted to kill myself. It was because I wanted to taste lead. No, suicide's not funny.
If it is going to be lead, it's going to be a metaphorical one. It's going to be...
Or physical. Or physical. It could be physical. I could be eating lead if I'm fucking conscripted to this fucking Eastern Front bullshit. Let's go.
But then again, if you but there is a paradox here. If you don't go deal with it, then how far will Russia go?
Yeah, well, we deal that. we pull a Chamberlain and we deal with that when it comes to it. I mean,
That could
we
only go
can't
well.
get involved. You can't.
Well, if
We
you-
can't. We can't do this because it would kill everyone.
If you don't get involved, you can't monitor it, and who knows how far the Russians will go. But on the other hand, if you get involved, people are dying.
If we get involved now, it's guaranteed world ends. If we don't get involved, then there's a chance that Russia just wants Ukraine. I mean, for God's sakes, Russia has shown no incentive to invade the rest of Europe. Putin has come out and said that they just want to demilitarize Ukraine, not occupy it. Going into this war with the idea that Russia is planning to annex half of Europe is suicide. We should wait to see what happens.
Again, that worked so great last time.
Yes.
I'm not pro-war, nor am I anti-war. Like,
We can, if we go back to the First World War, we can see how when rushing in with the idea that the world just that Austria and Germany want to annex half of Europe caused this shit. Austria, and I remember this. I watched a good video on a good documentary. Austria did not want to occupy Serbia. They wanted to take the capital, and they just wanted to discuss reparations because of the Archduke that got killed. They didn't want to start a global conflict. Now Russia, and it's very confusing.
Militarism, nationalism, alliances,
And
that come in.
the only reason this war really happened was because Russia mobilized on Germany and Austria's border. Now Russia wasn't going to invade until Germany also mobilized in an act of self-defense, if I'm remembering from this documentary correctly, and they were sending letters back and forth throughout the night. The Kaiser was sending it to his cousin Nicholas, telling him, begging him not to do this. And the only reason this happened was because of miscommunication and Tsar Nicholas's weak pride when asked, are we going to follow through with an invasion? He didn't think about it. He said yes. He said yes because he was asked in front of everyone. I remember. It was a very good doco. But it, you know,
Also, if he won the war, he'd improve his image.
the point to take away from this is that World War One, we went into World War One thinking they were going to annex half of Europe, when the true story was they just wanted reparations and they were just going to take the capital. That's as far as Austria wanted to advance. Going into World War Two, that was a more big kind of conflict. But I mean, you know, we could have maybe thought we could have thought that Hitler just wanted Danzig and it became this big thing. Doesn't matter. That's different. But I think going into this war, we need to think about it how we went into World War One, and we need to wait and see. I mean, you know, if Putin isn't lying, millions of people could die for nothing.
That's a big if.
It's a-
How do you know that he won't want Poland next? And
Well-
it's this paradox which
I don't think Putin.
results in war.
I don't think Putin wants Poland because Poland isn't part of the UN, and I'm pretty sure Poland is actually on good terms with Russia. I mean, Russia has territory on Poland's border, and you don't see them crying about military invasions, do you? I very much think that this is just going to be a Ukraine and Russia thing for now, until new news comes out.
I hope Ukraine kind of fends them off themselves.
I just hope we stay out of this. That's my final thoughts on this thing. The same thoughts at the start. We stay out of this, at least until fucking Russia's invading a major country, a major great power. Ukraine is not a major great power.
I don't know why Russia would go, but then again, how do you know they're not making another Iron Curtain?
Well, let them make the Iron Curtain. This isn't. Millions do not have to die for Russia to just lock some borders. That's what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking the sacrifice of millions and millions of people. I don't think would be worth it for this war. The outcomes are not good.
No, there's never a good outcome in war.
I'm
The
just
only good outcomes are results of are nationalistic thoughts. That's it. That's the only good outcome. The propaganda, they'd make so much money from
well,
the government. Like the news outlets, they're the only ones that win in war.
yeah. Yeah. The
They
day,
always win.
the Daily Bugle.
If you think about it, the news outlets always win.
True. Well, we reckon any more thoughts before we end this? It's getting a bit long there.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear we're dragging it out.
Hmm. Any final thoughts, final words?
Just stay safe, everyone.
I don't know words. I'm not a Nazi. That's it. All I gotta say. Not a Nazi.
Stay alive out there.
Stay alive. No, peace. I was gonna say peace to the Middle East, but it's not in the Middle East.
Peace in the east.
Yeah, peace on the East.
Peace to the east.
Peace to the East.
Big
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Fucker, yeah. And bye bye.